before they hang up. Is it Peter?
Yes, it is.
How you doing?
Hi. I live in New Hampshire. I don't actually I can't actually watch the show, but I can get it online.
Right.
Once in a while, and I actually just called my brother. I don't have internet, so I called my brother to find out when the show was on. So I didn't know exactly, and so I got the number, and I have a. I just so you know, I am an atheist.
Yeah.
I do have some questions, though. I wonder what you kind of thought about consciousness.
I think it's great.
What? No, as far as you know, I don't believe in an afterlife or anything. I agree with you on pretty much everything.
Then you're pretty much right. I'm sorry, go ahead. I shouldn't be interrupting for fun.
He's just joking.
Well, what I want to ask is basically, you know, after reading, you know, certain books like science fiction, like two books I really like are Timeline and The Prestige. I don't know if you know either of those.
No, I don't. I'm not familiar with either of them.
What?
I'm not familiar with either of them.
Oh, well, basically, the premise with both of them sort of is kind of there's a machine that can copy a person exactly, and in both cases, the original is destroyed. There is no person. And so I was kind of wondering what you thought as far as consciousness, like if someone can be copied, like you've talked before about like a brain, you know, downloading consciousness.
Yeah, Dennis and I actually had a long conversation about this, about, for example, like transporter technology. If they're making a copy of your patterns, including your consciousness, and transmitting it somewhere else and reforming it out of different molecules, and the original is destroyed, then aren't you actually dead, and what's continuing on is a copy?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my thing. You know, do you think if in the future that becomes possible, do you think that your actual consciousness could be transferred, or that it would die? Like, think that, like, I don't believe in a soul, but, you know, that kind of, like, you would cease to exist, your actual self. Like, what do you think as far as that goes?
I have a thought on that. There's a movie, and I don't want to. I've just seen it on TV. I'm making a disclaimer. It was an Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Total Recall.
No, it wasn't Total Recall. It was. I've never heard of it until I saw it on television. It was something like the 6-day rule
day.
or whatever it was. Is that what it's called? Well,
6 day.
Anyway, it did basically what you're talking about. There was a guy who had produced technology that would allow you to genetically duplicate a human being, and then you could download your entire memory up until like the point that you did the download. So for example, if I downloaded it and made the copy, it didn't destroy me, but generally people would do it before they were going to die. And whatever I would get in memory before I died would be lacking in the copy. So in other words, it wasn't really a transfer of consciousness, because the person who was transferring it was doing it as a means to sort of achieve a sort of immortality, but they were going to die, and whatever memories and experiences they had after the copy was duplicated, of course, would die with them. And what the film made me think wasn't quite like what you're asking, but what I thought about it was, if I knew that I was going to have a duplicate like that go forward, would I feel better about dying and knowing that my experiences would go forward? Like knowing that everything that I was would be retained on the planet and in a viable way in another being. And I do think it would probably bring me some comfort, I guess, or make me feel kind of happy to know that everything I had learned and everything I think and everything I am, as far as to other people, would be going forward, almost like I guess a person feels when they have a child. But I didn't really come to the question of, I kind of pondered, would that really be me? And I don't think it would be me in the sense of, to me. It would be me to other people, but I don't think it would be, the consciousness that I call and refer to as myself would be gone, and it would be what I would consider a duplicate.
See, and there's a number of different problems with this. First of all, you've got to, the kind of what is consciousness, but more importantly, who am I? And the way I kind of look at it, I think we're There's no reason to think that any of this is even possible outside of science fiction. Although, it's something that may eventually happen. There may be aspects of this that we may eventually have to deal with. I'm not a transhumanist, but I certainly support the idea of seeking ways to increase the longevity of human life, and also, if there's some way to download my consciousness and allow it to continue my thought processes that become my consciousness, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. But the way I look at it is this: if I were to make a copy of myself right now, and we both got to exist, obviously this other one isn't me. It's me up to the point that the copy was made, assuming we can do a foolproof copy. But it continues on, and if we both continue on, we have divergent experiences and we become two different people, maybe incredibly similar because we have a huge background behind us. So it doesn't make any difference then and you can't see the screen, so my hand gestures won't mean a thing to you. But let's say I have a right hand up representing the copy and a left hand up representing me. It doesn't matter which of these, if the right one continues on, it doesn't make any difference whether I die now at the moment that my consciousness is transferred or 20 years later. That one on the right hand side is still a new individual, for lack of a better term. But I think we're a little overly enamored of the current total package that we're in. We may not have a good understanding of who we are and what makes us us. Now I'm 39. There's not a single atom in my body that was present when I was born. Everything has been shifted out and reprocessed. And I'm not even sure how many years it takes, but it's not too long until every atom in your body is different from it was, at the start of that time period. So that part, the matter part, is already gone through transitions. And it's like a good example that somebody presented to me a long time ago was if you have a ship and over a 30-year history, parts of the ship break, need to be replaced. And yet it still retains the name and the identity as the ship. And over the course of 30 years, every single part and component on this ship has been broken and replaced. There's not a single original piece on there, and yet the ship still retains the name. That relates to consciousness, and I think it's just a matter of the label that we put on it. We've identified this particular configuration both as an item at any given point and within a time spectrum as, the USS Enterprise or whatever. And we do the same thing for consciousness. This is me, my physical body, my brain, the brain chemistry, the memories that I have, how things work. Consciousness may be an emergent property of that brain, my memories and everything else. If we then clone me and kill me off, I'm not quite sure how I would feel about that, because there's still some semblance of me continuing on, but I think we just don't even have the language to properly deal with it, because it's not a situation that's within our realm of understanding right now.
Yeah, well, I was actually kind of thinking about I think it was in Richard Dawkins' book God Delusion,
Mm-hmm.
where he talks about, there's a point in the book where he talks about, I think someone else said that how our bodies, like not a single atom in our bodies is the same as like when we were born, or from 10 years ago or something like that.
Right.
So it's kind of like along those lines. We're not what makes us up is not necessarily the same as in the past. So are we different? You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of
No, I absolutely
almost
understand.
the same idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Can I just one more thing? This reminds me of I had a conversation with a child one time, a little girl, and her family is Jehovah's Witness, and they of course had talked to the little girl about paradise, which is different than heaven, and she told me, she climbs up on my knee and she says, "Mommy says when I get to heaven, I can pet tigers." And I said, then is that really a tiger? Because a tiger is a ferocious man-eater. So there's this idea, I think, about, the lion and the lamb will lie down together, and these meat-eating carnivores are not going to eat, meat. And I look at that and I'm like, at what point does it become not a tiger anymore?
Yeah.
You know, if it's not a carnivore, if it's not a predator, what is it? It's like some thing that you would call a tiger, but is that really a tiger?
Yep. I appreciate the call, Peter. We gotta let you go. We got full lines,
Yeah.
and people are calling in. But feel free to call back another time and drop us an email as well. But thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.